Join us at Women of Courage and celebrate the achievements of women. Will you help us? Our prison ministry is trying to reach women with sons and or brothers in prison. We would like for these women to help us with our ministry and halt the growing population of incarcerated men. If you know of someone with a loved one in prison, please contact us at 734-686-1444 or email us at murderedvoices@gmail.com. We must teach men to read to keep them from entering prison or before they leave prison. Men are now entering prison for killing their children. This has to stop. If we can reduce these murders by teaching men to read, to think clearly, and to manage their emotions. Edward James Olmos said, education is a vaccine for violence. We must do everything we can in our power to stop these heinous murders. Please reach out to us. When we work together, we win. Before we begin, we're going to take a few moments to collect ourselves and to relax before we engage into our discussion. What we need to do is to focus now on bringing positive energy into our lives and into the world. The energy that we project every day is the same energy that we get back. We have all seen those people that can walk into a room and they glow. People want to be around them. People feel better being in their presence. That's the energy that we need to create. And once we learn how to do this, our lives will be filled with greatness. We will attract that positive energy. And how we can do this is by changing our outlook, meeting every day with gratitude, thankfulness, optimism, and once you do this, you will see a change in yourself. I want you to take a moment and close your eyes. Think about everything positive in your life. Family, friends, a career, your faith. All of this is how you start your day. Every morning when you wake up, I want you to think about what is positive in your life. I want you to list 10 reasons why your life is amazing. You will see the change. You will be changed. You will begin to attract life's blessings. Lead with gratitude. Be thankful and think positive. The Women of Courage show is being broadcast by the Women and Children's Restoration Ministries to help you problem solve, to help you dream again, to help you believe that anything is possible. We want you to believe that you do not have to marry the first man you meet just to get someone to take care of you. You do not have to live a life of drudgery. You can educate yourself. All you have to do is learn to read competently. We want you to take a chance on yourself. Stop believing all the soothsayers around you that have never left a state in their lives. People who do not have courage to fly. People who only think of lying, cheating, and stealing. You can live an exciting life. All you have to do is believe that you can make your dreams come true. You do not have to go to bed with someone you despise day in and day out. You have the right to marry someone that you can talk to someone that believes in you and has faith in you as a human being. In other words, you do not have to settle for just anyone. But what you must do is strive toward your goal. You must be goal oriented. You must organize yourself. You must be clear about what you want in life and why you want such a life. All of us are made up of dreams. As our dreams unfold in our lives, our spirit soars. Realizing our dreams becomes a problem because oftentimes we are beaten down by our friends and family. We are beaten down at school by people laughing at us because of our shoe size, our ear size, our breast size, the clothes we wear, etc. We are beaten down by people saying nothing will come of our lives. We are beaten down when our mothers and grandmothers constantly say that we're going to be just like our father, an inmate in prison. Many of us are also discouraged when our mothers are inattentive. She is wrapped up in her new boyfriend. But life anew is possible. It is my job to encourage you to go as far as you can dream and as far as your dreams can take you. It is my job to get you to believe in life again. I am sick and tired of people failing at life just because they are around negative speaking and negative acting people. Do not let the failure of other people make you lose confidence in yourself. Yes, you may be surrounded by poverty, but you must look for a way out. The book, If You Believe in God, You Do Not Belong in Prison, will help you. What you must do above all else is learn to read competently. You must read, read, and read. Anyone who laughs at you for reading, you need to leave that person alone. I do not care if it's your mother. Anyone who discourages you, you are to stop all association. Man is not different than plants. We need encouragement to grow as plants need water to thrive. You are to leave foolish, stupid people alone. Their ignorance will weigh you down or even get you killed. Sit down and think how you can avoid these people, especially if they're in your family. If you are overwhelmed with the tiring feeling that feels as if you're carrying a bag of stone around every morning when you get out of bed and think how you'll have to spend another living life you're not passionate about, the books I suggest are the perfect solution for your unique needs. Not only will we help you realize why these feelings overwhelm you, and what you can do to change it. But they will also teach you how to live a life of strength, courage, fearlessness in order to realize all of your dreams. If you are lacking the attitude and psychology, proper resource or vision to make your dreams a reality, combined with dissatisfaction with the execution of your plans, but you remain firmly dedicated to making your ambition a reality and creating the life you deserve, you will certainly derive the most benefit from professional, incredible content within these books. Contents that will assist you in achieving the results that you are after. You are never to give up on yourself. Are you ready to leave your future to chance? Of course not. Take your life in your hand and learn all the necessary tools, mindset, strategies used by the men and women of courage used in order to live the life of their dream. Change your life with our book starting today. The Touched by the Light Prison Ministry is dedicated to bringing a fresh, new perspective to the crisis we are facing in our prison system. Simply put, our correctional institutions are overflowing with inmates, which is placing a horrendous social and financial burden on society that should not exist. Our approach is simple: reach prisoners and affect the way that they think by providing books introducing topics such as ethics, problem solving, etc. We offer prisoners and outgoing inmates 5 publications that are designed to rework their view of life and give men concrete tools to change their lives. We work at the fundamental level. If a man leaves prison thinking the same thoughts he did when he went into prison, then the cycle will never end. If a man leaves prison with the mindset that he now has a standard of conduct, faith in his ability to prosper himself, and the knowledge that someone cares enough about his date to reach out to him in prison, then the cycle may be broken forever. We need your help. We are asking churches, civic groups, and all that care to purchase a book for a prisoner. We believe a prisoner should be given intensive training while in prison so that once paroled, he can be confident for the future, not have fear. To find out more about this and other projects, please email us at murderedvoices@gmail.com. Thank you for your consideration. If you have a relative in prison, you may want to help with this project. Our project is designed to help men and women for to keep them from returning to prison. I am going to pause for a second to take a short break while you listen to information regarding willpower and encouragement. It is all a matter of learning new behaviors. And please remember, it is easier to build strong minds than to repair injured people. What I said is a modification of a quote by Frederick Douglass. He said, "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." Now for my break. During the next two shows, I'm going to read letters from men in prison who read the books If You Believe in God, You Do Not Belong in Prison, The Devil's Cauldron, It Is Time to Start Walking with God, You Are the Prophet of Your Life, and the book A Christian Is Never Desperate. The Touched by the Light Publishing Company sent these books to the men in prison to see if it could affect their behavior. The publishing company was assisted in this project by Reverend Melvin Redwine. Overall, we received a tremendous response. Okay, here is one of the first letters from a man named John. I will not include the last names. He says, "My name is John. I am 43-year old and I'm a Christian who by choice in the life earned a 7 to 20-year sentence for operating and maintaining a lab, a methamphetamine lab. I read in the book called If You Believe in God, You Do Not Belong in Prison. I won't pick up a gun, my thought prevention. Let me just begin by saying that I am a believer in God, and I know absolutely without a doubt I do not belong in prison. However, I chose this path on my own. I did not pick up a gun per se, but in some sense I committed an act against the will of God. When I first received this book, I flipped to page 132. The heading on the page was Meth, and I was told that Chief Deputy Sharon Joanne Barnes was shot to death on December 9th, 2002. What caught my eye was two things. First, the guy, Earl Mitchell Forrest II, was doing the same thing I was doing. He had a meth lab. Second, the date December 9th is significant to me because it is my birthday. I've been inspired by reading of this book. It is a must read for any and all who are on the side of the barbed wire. We all need to be more aware and involved and knowledgeable and informed in the system and institutions that we are under God. God would not have us sit idly by the wayside and do nothing about injustices. I am faithfully serving God within the next 6 months of my release for a crime I committed. That never had to happen if I had followed God. Thank you again, and I have been inspired by your book. God bless. This is a letter from a man named JC. He says, after reading If You Believe in God, You Do Not Belong in Prison, I instantly elevated my life. And while I went wrong, it made me realize now that I had little faith and I had not, no, he says, I had many times turned my back on God, but every time I did right, God was there for me. God never turned his back on me. My attitude and thinking have been negatively lately, so to change that, I have been making positive affirmations from the scriptures from your book. I read my Bible more every day. Now I'm becoming more at peace with myself. I used to worry a lot. Now I know when I worry that many times I don't believe in God. So now when I pray and ask for a job when I am released, I don't worry anymore. I accept that God is going to provide for me, and I don't need all the best decisions to keep myself happy. I believe now that God will provide what I need. God will continue to bless me and my family and provide for us, and I know if I do right, things will turn out. And if I believe in God for the next 7 years, when I am released, things will be better. I will be changed and I will be happy and blessed with a happy family, an education, and a career. I am ready to be a real man and take care of my responsibilities by believing in God and being faithful. Thank you so much. Sincerely, JC. This letter is from a man that did not give his name. He says, I am a 29-year-old male who has been in prison since a little over a month from my 19th birthday. I'm expected to be paroled December the 29th. That I chose to commit armed robbery and I received a sentence from 11 to 25 years. It changed my life forever. And just like you said in your book, I lost all these years away from my loved ones and lots of heartache and regrets for what I did. Just if I would have put down the weapon and got help and realized by committing the armed robbery and having the guts to do it does not make it right. Part in the book about if you change your habits. I've changed my thinking. Really, it really hit home to me and the doubts and worry. Since reading your book, I got those feelings of anxiety and doubt, and I'll say, Satan, is get behind me. I am waiting to read your next book. This letter was written by a man named James. He also read the book, If You Believe in God, You Do Not Belong in Prison. He said, I would like to share what I thought of the story that you wrote when we are convicted and coming out of prison, that we are labeled as misfits. And I believe that this book gives hope to people that are in and leaving prison. And it shows that there is change when you give your life to God and fully accept Him into your heart and soul. So I believe Gloria helped show that not everyone that goes to prison needs to be labeled as a bad person. There are stories that start out bad, and when we accept God, He will grant us a second chance at life. So I personally would like to thank everyone that was involved in putting this book into my hands, and many more together, I hope. This book is very inspirational, so thank you and God bless. James. This letter is from Robert. He says, Dear author, I really enjoy reading your book, although I am not incarcerated on a gun charge, except for hunting. I have never picked up one. But I do relate to the fact if I would not have picked up the drugs, I wouldn't be here now. A lot of what you wrote I can really relate to. A man needs to be out there working, taking care of his wife and kids, and he can't do none of that without God in his life. It took me 43 years to see that, but at age 45, I do see the signs of life getting better. It saddens me to see all these young men lives ruined over stupidity, and worst of all, their innocent lives taken over the same stupidity. I hope you continue to write books of inspiration because I know I will start reading them. This letter is from a man first name Scott. He helped Pastor Melvin Redwine in distributing the books and conducting classes. He writes, "To whom it may concern, I wholeheartedly recommend the book. If you believe in God, you do not belong in prison. I think if it can help prevent even one soul from taking that fateful plunge into a life of crime, it will be well worth it. I have been down for over 11 years now, and I wish I had this book like this before. A book that prints a vivid picture of the reality of a life wasted in prison or worse. Sincerely, Brother Scott." The next letter was written by a man who only used his first name, so I'll just call him Mr. F. He wrote this letter September the 9th. He says, "Dear publisher, I would first like to say the book was a page turner for me. It had so much good information that was an eye opener and made me think a lot of my own reactions to life. God was always with me, always wanting me to do His will. Then there is the evil one who points to the pretty picture and tempts me with short cuts and deceit. The scriptures in the book were and are some of my favorites from long ago. In fact, I wrote most of them down to reestablish them in my life. My overall thoughts of the book, it was interesting, always making me look at myself and my heart." This letter is from a man named Artie. He says, "First, I'd like to thank Mr. Redwine for allowing me to read such a type of book as this. Next is special thanks to the author for such an informative book of facts. Reading your book allowed me to really take a second look at myself and just how truly blessed I am. On the pages of your book was a copy of my own life and story, and because of your efforts in that story, my thoughts and behaviors have changed. Thanks be to God that my spiritual walk is in line with His Word." Again, I thank the both of you for helping to free me, to bring me back into a spiritual knowledge that is of God, given to all who follow His Word. Your friend in Christ, Artie. I am going to pause for a second to take a short break while you listen to information regarding willpower and encouragement. It is all a matter of learning new behaviors. And please remember, it is easier to build strong minds than to repair injured people. What I said is a modification of a quote by Frederick Douglass. He said, "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." Now for my break.
Today, I want to talk about response. How do you personally respond to a setback in your life? I heard a pastor once say, "Don't let a bad chapter in your life be the final chapter." And that really hit me. How often do we let one bad thing in our life own us? You lost your job, your family left you, you struggle with abuse or addiction. Those things do happen in life, but that's not what you focus on. You focus on the response. How do I move forward now? What do I do now? Real faith is believing in something big, but willing to start small. I want to talk today about commitment. The act of making an agreement or a pledge to do something in the future. Now listen, we are all called by God, and through Him is our strength. So during these times, these hardships, we need to stay committed. Committed to His Word, committed to freeing yourself from the negativity, committed to empowering yourself, bettering yourself, and living your life to the fullest. Through God, all is possible. Once you believe and once you are committed. You are the women of courage. Today, I want to talk about self-control, the restraint exercised over one person's impulses, emotions, or desires. It is easy nowadays to lose control. We eat too much, drink too much, everything is accessible to us. The hard part in life is finding that balance, that presence of mind to know what is good for you, and to live with that discipline. I know through my own journey that when I am balanced, when I'm showing self-restraint, I start moving better. I start thinking better. I become more confident in who I am. And that's what I want you to think about. What can you do to become more balanced, to act on need and not on emotion? Remember, you are the women of courage. Fortitude can be defined as the strength of mind that enables a person to encounter danger or to bear pain or adversity with courage and staying power. Think about that for a moment. Fortitude is the strength you have when you go through adversity. Everyone listening will go through pain, struggle, and disappointment in our lives. That is a fact. But what defines each of us is what we do after that pain, after that struggle and disappointment. Do we lay down and become a victim, or do we rise up and continue to push forward, continue to believe, continue to fight for ourselves? Remember, you are the women of courage. Anything that you want in this life can be obtained. You just need to believe. Believe in yourself. You are strong. You are beautiful. You are resilient. You are what we call the women of courage. And your time is now. There are no victims in this life. So I'm asking you, are you ready to make a change? Are you ready to fight for what you want?
Are you ready to fight for your dreams? If you are, it starts now. This is the Women of Courage.
Resolve is defined as successfully finding the answer to something or making a decision about something. And this is tough for some people, but this is one of the most important things you can do in your life, is deciding firmly and declaring what your purpose will be in this life. Now, you might not have the best job, the best education, or the best family situation, but the starting point to making that change is showing resolve, deciding what do you want to change in your life. Once you make that decision, you can now focus on what steps are needed to make that change. What steps today can you make to see that change happen? Remember, you are the Women of Courage.
You're watching Detroit's own WHPR TV. Detroit Live.
Hi, this is Renee stepping out on faith. You can watch me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the WHPR TV Now app. Download our free app at WHPR TV Now.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. Eastern.
This is a short letter from a man named Robinson. He states, "This book helped me look at life in a whole new way because when the book mentioned gun, it also means action. Our actions lead us to prison because, for one, we don't have God in our lives. Second, we think that it's hard. But 1 Corinthians 10:13 says, 'No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man,' meaning that you are not going to go through nothing that no one hasn't been through before. God also will not put a person through something that he cannot handle." This is very inspirational to me, and the book has helped me grow in my mind. I believe if more men read this book, it would start a change in their lives for the better. This letter is from a man named Thomas. He said, "I read the book, 'If You Believe in God, You Don't Belong in Prison.' I started to feel more positive about my life. I am currently in prison for picking up a gun, so I can relate to the many things that were said in this book. Before I was arrested, let's say before I decided to use drugs, I was a hard worker with a nice family and a house. I used to coach my son's baseball team for a number of years. Then I started selling and using drugs. This led me to robbing some innocent people, people who did not deserve to be treated this way. Since being locked up, I have turned my life over to Christ, and this book has given me a lot of insight to the road I want to be on. I have realized that there is nothing for me to conquer except myself. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I will maintain a standard of integrity and ethics. I will shed my feelings of worthlessness and despair. I will not let the devil have mine and my family's life. All in all, I have taken many parts of this book to heart. It was a great read and full of inspiration to me, and I thank you for sending me the book." Please note that almost all of these letters were written on one page because most of the men did not have writing material. This book was from a man named Joel. I read the book, "If You Believe in God, You Do Not Belong in Prison." I liked how you said that reading will permanently change your life and give you relief from things around you. I'm not much of a reader, but I'm doing it anyway. I believe in God, but I do not believe in putting the word into your own words. There was a lot of insight. I didn't realize how bad our system was until I read your book. I have woke up and taking steps to be a better man. I do not want the promises of God that God gave me, from doing right. I am a Christian. I do believe Jesus died on the cross for my sins, that I am a sinner, saved by grace. I'm not much of a writer. The book was good, and thank you for sending it to me. My name is Reginald. I'm currently serving 57 months for a home invasion, too, which I'm deeply remorse about. I've been in and out of prison since the age of 28. And to answer your question, yes, I do believe in God and love Him dearly. However, I do not act like it at times. I'm trying very hard to accept the fact that I cannot do it alone. My friend Mr. Redwine encouraged me whenever I see him, which is good for me because I am alone and I need companionship. So if you read my words, please feel free to send or write me with some response. Hi, my name is Clyde. I'm writing you about the book If You Believe in God, You Don't Belong in Prison. I was really fascinated about the statistics of men using a gun, but I'm 47 years old and have never ever in my life ever carried a gun. I thank God for that. I grew up with a grandfather and a father as a preachers. I just chose the street life and made some bad choices. I know that God said in His Word that all men should be saved. I still have a chance to go back into society and make a difference. I must take into consideration the Bible first, plus what you were saying in your book to heart. Do this right thing that I want to have worry about prison anymore. Let me say that again. He says, if I do the right thing, I will not have to worry about prison anymore, except if God leads me back to preach the word. Amen. I really did appreciate your book and how you took so much time and energy to write it. I see that what a person puts into something is what a person gets out of it. You just keep doing what God has called you to do to make a difference in another person's life. I pray that I can read more of your books in the future. Men do need to make a stand and start thinking in a positive way. Some men still have an Adam spirit rather than a Jesus spirit inside of them. Amen. May God continue to bless you in Jesus' name, Mr. Clyde. Hi, my name is Clyde. I'm writing you about the book If You Believe in God, You Don't Belong in Prison. I was really fascinated about the statistics of men using a gun, but I'm 47 years old and have never ever in my life ever carried a gun. I thank God for that. I grew up with a grandfather and a father as a preachers. I just chose the street life and made some bad choices. I know that God said in His Word that all men should be saved. I still have a chance to go back into society and make a difference. I must take into consideration the Bible first, plus what you were saying in your book to heart. Do this right thing that I want to have worry about prison anymore. Let me say that again. He says, if I do the right thing, I will not have to worry about prison anymore, except if God leads me back to preach the word. Amen. I really did appreciate your book and how you took so much time and energy to write it. I see that what a person puts into something is what a person gets out of it. You just keep doing what God has called you to do to make a difference in another person's life. I pray that I can read more of your books in the future. Men do need to make a stand and start thinking in a positive way. This letter is from a man named David. He said, I read your book, If You Believe in God, You Do Not Belong in Prison. My friend, Mr. Redwine, let me read it. It's very true and also sad. I was very surprised there really are people like you that care and focus on people to be peaceful and caring, to not pick up a gun, to stop the violence and believe in God and to be free of prison, even in your heart. If you would like to send me any of your writing material, I will read it and enjoy it and encourage others to read it and spread your message. Thank you so much for the book. Your friend David. This is a letter from a man whose mother that I knew. His name is James. He says, when my mother first told me that her co-worker wrote religious or Christian books, I immediately wrote it off as something I would not be interested in. Because, see, I'm not the religious type. I did not even ask her the name of the book. So, a week or so passed before my mother brought it up again and said that the lady would like to send me a copy to read. I instantly rejected the offer, not because I'm ungrateful or anything like that, but because I know me, and I know if it's not something I deem interesting, like urban literature, I won't read it. So my mother relayed my message to this lady, but it was too late. She had already sent the book off. I received the book Monday, and you know in prison any mail is better than no mail. Well, anyway, the CO came to my door and tells me I have mail. So I climbed down off my bunk and opened my cell door, and he handed me this UPS package. I immediately knew what it was, so I opened the package and pulled it out, the book. The first thing that caught my eye, as with any book, is the title. Now, I remind you that I never asked the name of the book, but this particular title, If You Believe in God, You Do Not Belong in Prison, caught my eye because my belief in God isn't that strong, if any at all. At first, I thought my mother was trying to be funny, but I decided that I would give it a try anyway, and I gotta admit, I'm glad I did. It was nothing like I expected. It seemed to be well researched and very informing, especially for those with a blind eye as to how the system really works. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say reading the book changed my life or belief, but I won't say it can't change anyone else's life. I will say this though, if you are skeptical of the content of the books, as I once was, give it a try. Here is a second letter from James. Let me start off by saying thank you for the book, even though originally I said I didn't want it. But I can honestly say I'm glad my mother didn't relay the message to you in time, because I thoroughly enjoyed the book. I guess that's what y'all believers would say, that it's God's work. It was different from my usual reading material, which we all need from time to time. I feel one shouldn't never limit one's potential of learning experiencing something new. I don't want to say it's too late for me, because it is never too late as long as one is alive, but in a sense it is, and by that I mean I've already picked up the gun and made the foolish choice of getting the money the easy way. I guess what I failed to realize was the intervening variable. And the funny thing, now that I've read your book, when I look back, I never was nor is a real big betting man, but yet there I was constantly betting with destiny. I had an old head tell me a couple of years ago, the more you do something illegal, the greater your chances of getting caught. But I never looked at it that way. Unconventional thinking had me believing that more I got away with it, the more I would. I guess you can say I was using the old adage, practice makes perfect. I don't want to take up too much of your time, so I'm going to end this letter on this note. I would like to check out some more of your work, and would one day like to get into a more in-depth conversation with books I've read, as well as the future books you are planning to write. Sincerely, James. This is a letter from Larry. He says, I thought this book, If You Believe in God, You Do Not Belong in Prison, is the key to a man's pre-prison destination. The younger man out in the streets really need to read this book because it can prevent and help them in tough times before they go bad. It also lets you know it is never too late to put the gun down and turn to God no matter how hard life is. I feel we need more books like the one you wrote to prevent our future generations from becoming inmates. You are truly blessed and continue to motivate men to turn from their wickedness to God. God bless you, Larry. This is a book from a man named Scott. He was writing about the book You Are the Prophet of Your Life. He says this book is a great book for someone who is struggling in life to find God. It is a very inspirational and uplifting book. It's a book where once you start it, it's hard to put it down. It's got great stories of people lives that were restored because they found God. So it shows a person both sides of life, the right side, which is of God, the wrong side, which is of the devil. After reading this book, it's easy to pick up the right side. God bless you and thank you for the book, Scott. The Touched by the Light Publishing Company has received hundreds more letters like the ones we just read. We will continue to share these letters in our next show. But the most important thing that we want you to receive from these letters is that the men did pay attention to the books. They did not scoff at reading the books. We had no negative letters from any of the men. The only negative thing that was said by any male prisoner, one man said that the book contained just entirely too much information to hold at one time. He said the book had to be reread more than once to get all of the information that the authors wanted to share. Again, we will continue reading letters from prison and during our next show. But we ask, if you are at all concerned about men who are going to be paroled, would you please reach out to us and become part of our prison ministry? We're not asking you to spend hours and hours of your time with us, but you can give us maybe 2 or 3 hours a month of your time. All we're trying to do is to share God's word with prisoners, plus help them learn to read. Because one of the things that you'll note in reading some of these letters, which were all handwritten, the language is at the 3rd and 4th grade level. There is discontinuity of thought, and most of these men are struggling with how to express themselves. So if we work hard at trying to educate these men while they're in prison, we got at least a 50-50 chance of their changing their lives before they are released. That's the most important thing. We want them to consider changing their lives and having enough strength to actually change their lives when they leave prison. Therefore, it will reduce the violence being experienced by people in the community. Thank you and God bless.
Today, I choose love. For my past, my future, to my family and friends, I choose love. With everything we've got going on in the world today, all the hate and negativity, love is all we have, and it's all we need. If you can start each day with love, you will watch your world change. But the time is now to forgive, to forget, to move on. Do this and your perspective will change. If I know one thing, I would rather live in a world with love and openness than a world full of pain. And it's our choice to believe in something bigger than us. One world, one people, one love.
Listeners, help us save a life. Stop breast cancer from taking lives. Will you assist us in putting the booklet Black Women and Breast Cancer in the hands of 1 million people? Please go to the website www.touchedbythelight.us and download the booklet Black Women and Breast Cancer. Then email this booklet to 5 friends, asking them to email the booklet to 5 of their friends. We are trying to reach 1 million women with this information to save lives. The death of one woman to breast cancer from our community is one woman too many. We thank you for your support. Remember, if you miss one of our shows, you can visit our YouTube channel at Touched by the Light Publishing to watch and listen to previous episodes of Women of Courage. Thank you. Will you help us? Our prison ministry is trying to reach women with sons and or brothers in prison. We would like for these women to help us with our ministry and halt the growing population of incarcerated men. If you know of someone with a loved one in prison, please contact us at 734-686-1444 or email us at murderedvoices@gmail.com. We must teach men to read to keep them from entering prison or before they leave prison. Men are now entering prison for killing their children. This has to stop. If we can reduce these murders by teaching men to read, to think clearly, and to manage their emotions. Edward James Olmos said, "Education is a vaccine for violence." We must do everything we can in our power to stop these heinous murders. Please reach out to us. When we work together, we win.
Menzie Salon and Spa is now offering $25 flat irons Tuesdays and $55 relaxer, touch-up, trim, style included on Wednesdays. Full body massage for $29. Barbers on duty. Menzie Salon and Spa is a full-service spa and salon located at 22884 Ryan at 9 Mile Road in Warren, Michigan. Call 586-510-4545.
Prisons are meant to serve as correctional facilities for inmates so they can lead meaningful lives after their release. At The Wall Project, it is our desire to see that they are well rehabilitated and ready to start their lives over again. To this end, we need your support to help purchase a set of books at $75 for a male prisoner or at $85 for a female prisoner. We believe we can change their lives, one book at a time. Reading teaches discipline. Reading tells you about another man's courage. Reading will tell you how to correct some of the mistakes in your life. Reading will help you solve life's problems. Reading will teach you how to find a job. Reading can help you learn a new profession or trade. Reading will help you improve your health. When you do not read, you wager your life's savings trying to win big at the casino. If you have a brother, sister or son or daughter in prison, why not send them some serious literature to read? Books that will show them how to change their lives by changing the way they think. If you are truly interested in helping your son or daughter or sister or brother, reach out to us by emailing us at murderedvoices@gmail.com. We can tell you all about the program. We welcome the opportunity to send you information on how you can help your son or daughter.
Become a sponsor of the Women of Courage show by inviting 10 women for a pleasant afternoon to listen to us speak at your venue. Help us change our community to one of peace and harmony. The Women of Courage show is supported by the Women and Children's Restoration Ministries to help women problem solve and to help women realize their dreams. Women should believe that anything is possible. Our sole purpose is the restoration of injured women, both physically and mentally. We meet twice a month on Saturday at a local restaurant to discuss subjects germane to women. We see 5 main problems of black women that we must solve ourselves. One is the sexual abuse of children, bringing unrelated males into the home and fail to notice changes in behavior. Rape and murder of black women, failure to learn the warning signs, breast cancer, which is a failure to be examined, sex trafficking of black women, accepting prostitution as a way of life, economic trials of black women due to the inability to read or lack of education. Learn how to sponsor the Women of Courage show by speaking to our spokesperson, Renee of WHPR. She can be reached at renee88.1fm@gmail.com. I repeat, renee88.1fm@gmail.com. She will tell you all about it, or you can leave a message at the number 734-686-1444. Thank you. Thank you for listening to Women of Courage, and have a great day.